So today we're going to take a look at simplifying some radicals. So that would be x squared, x to the fourth, x to the sixth, and x to the eighth. Now we know the square root does something. So what's the square root of x squared? That's those two multiplied together. So that's just x. X to the fourth would be x squared. 3 times 3 is 6, so this would just be x to the third. 3 plus 3, like this times that gives us x to the 6. X to the fourth is x to the 8, so the square root is x to the fourth. So what patterns do you see? Well, it's divided by 2. So what happens if the exponent is odd, right? Because all of this, you divide it by 2. So if the exponent is odd and not a perfect square. So for example, we could still divide the exponent by 2, but the power of x remains in the radical. So x to the third, it's like saying x to the 3 divided by 2. So it goes in there once, and then there's still the square root left over. So this one, this is x to the 5 over 2. How many times does 5 divide by 2? It goes in there twice with a remainder of 1, so this becomes x squared with 1x remaining. X to the 11 over 2. How many times does 2 go into 11? So x to the 5th with 1x remaining. X to the 29 over 2. How many times does it go into there? X to the 14th with 1x remaining. So if you had to simplify this, again, the square root of 36, the square root of x squared. So 6, and that would just be x, because this is x to the 2 over 2. Square root of 18, square root of 9, square root of 2, square root of x. So square root of 9 is 3. You can't take the square root of those, so it would just be 2x. Square root of 60, so the square root of 15 times the square root of 4. The square root of x to the fourth, the square root of y squared. Well, this is 2 square root of 15. This is x to the 4 over 2, so that's just x squared. Y to the 2 divided by 2 is y to the first. So the square root of 100, square root of y to the fourth, square root of z to the third. Well, that's just 10. This is 4 divided by 2 is 2. 3 divided by 2. So it goes in there once with 1 left over. Square root of 24. So that's the square root of 4 times the square root of 6 times the square root of a to the 6th times the square root of b to the 4th. So this is 2 square root of 6. This is a to the 6 over 2. So that's 3. And this would be b to the 4 over 2. So that's 2. 92. I think 92 is divisible by 4. 23. Okay. So square root of 4 times the square root of 23, square root of a, square root of b cubed, square root of c squared. So 2 square root of 23. Well, that's just a. So I could leave that under the square root. This is b to the 3 over 2. So it goes in there once. And I have 1 left over. So it's kind of like that b is there. Maybe what might be an easier way is I'm going to separate stuff into what can be outside the square root and what can be inside. So 4, square root of 4 is 2. 23 I can't take the square root of. A I can't take the square root of. But the b, 2 goes into 3 once. And there's 1 left over. C to the 2 over 2, that's just c to the first. So sometimes you have to multiply first and then simplify. So this would be the square root of 72 x to the third. Well, 72, that's 9 times 8 times the square root of x cubed. So can take the square root of this, and that's 3. Square root of 8, well, that's the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. So that would be times 2, 2 on the inside. This one is x to the 3 over 2. 2 goes into 3 once with 1 left over. So this would be 6x times the square root of 2x. This next one, if I multiply the numbers together, 50, so the square root of 150, x to the 10th. Well, square root of, let's see, 150 is the square root of 25 times the square root of 6 times the square root of x to the 10th. So 25 is 5, square root of 6, can't take the square root of that, and this is x to the 10 over 2, so that's x to the 5th. All right, how about this next one? Well, on the outside, there's going to be an 8. What is 15 times 20? Times the square root of 200 x to the 4th. Well, this is 8 times the square root of 100 times the square root of 2, square root of x to the 4th. So square root of 100 is 10, so 8 times 10. Can't take the square root of 2. This is x to the 4 over 2, so that's x squared. In the last one, let's see, 3 times 2 is 6. Times the square root of 15 times 3, 45, times 4, 180, x 36 to the 7th. Let's see, is 180 divisible by 4? So 45, so 6, square root of 4, square root of 45, square root of x to the 7th. Well, I know 45 is 9 times 3. So let's see, 6, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3, square root of 3, x to the 7 over 2, so it goes in there 3 times, so that goes on the outside with 1 left. And 6 times 2 is 12, times 3 is 36, x cubed, square root of 3x.